Welcome to part 3 in this section on Tanzu Mission Control. I think this will be much shorter than the previous videos in TMC. Now, we're going to create an AKS cluster with the Azure CLI and then attach it into TMC. Now, before we do that from the script, I just want to show us what this looks like and how this is done from the portal. So you can see here I'm on the clusters page. We have our 3 EKS clusters. And now if I want to attach an existing cluster, okay, I just say add cluster, attach cluster. And here we just need to provide some basic information here. So I'm just going to pick a cluster name, assign it to the TMC operations group, and hit next. Okay, we don't need to change anything here. That's fine. And now this is the most important part. So what TMC is going to need to do when we attach an existing cluster, it still needs to install its agents and tools and extensions. So it provides us with this command so that it can go ahead to the TMC cloud service and fetch this YAML configuration file so that we can apply it to our cluster. And so all we would have to do is copy this command, paste it in our cluster, and wait 5 to 10 minutes or so for those extensions to come up healthy. What we want to do first is, because there's a section in the code where it downloads that YAML configuration file, and it's not immediately obvious that it does, right? And it's, if I just do a list of this directory here and scroll down a little bit till we get to that section here, this is the name of the configuration file that is necessary to download those extensions and agents, right? But that only happens when we run this command. And like I said, it's not very obvious that a file is being downloaded by running this command. And so what this is saying here is just, hey, if this file exists already, delete it, because I'm making another run of a completely different cluster. So I'm doing an ls here just to show, hey, this K8 attach manifest file does not exist. And that will run that same ls command again after that. Okay, that's just something to be aware of. Okay, so I have 2 operator instances open here so that we can switch back and forth if a process is running on this primary instance. Okay, so we're running the script called tap clusters Azure create and attach CLI. All right, and that's in the TMC/attach folder. I like to be very descriptive in my namings of so that I don't have to write comments for what this file does. I think that's pretty obvious. So let's get this running. So the first thing that it's doing is creating all of our Azure resources using the Azure CLI, right? So we're going to create a resource group named ARIA Operations, and we'll go into the Azure portal in just a moment. We're doing it in the East US region. And the TMC cluster group is still the same one as the EKS, TMC Operations. Okay, so it's creating an AKS cluster with 2 nodes, with the standard instances here, or in Azure Talk, standard VMs. We're using Kubernetes version 1.25. Okay. And then we get the kubeconfig file, because now we're not reliant on a kubeconfig from TMC. We're not even going to get a kubeconfig from TMC because we own this cluster. We created it, and so we can get our own credentials. All right, so that will be fetching the kubeconfig file necessary to run kubectl commands. Okay, so that's exactly what we do next. So we switch contexts. So let's go over to the Azure portal while this is running. And if I do a search, I should find my ARIA Operations resource group. Okay, so this was just created just moments ago, and you can see that the tap run AKS I don't know if it will give us a progress here that it's still being created or not, but this is our, yeah, right here. So this tap run AKS cluster is now being created from our script with the Azure CLI. Okay, so this will take just a few moments. I don't think it's quite a lengthy process as our EKS friends, but nevertheless, we will return once this has completed. Okay, so the AKS cluster has been created and it ran this cluster attach command. And what I want to do really quick is come over to our other instance, and we'll see that if we list the files in this directory, now our root directory, we've now got this K8 attach manifest file, which wasn't there previously. So running this TMC cluster attach, the result of that was that file. So I just wanted to point that out because that can be very confusing. It's not immediately clear where to get this file to apply it to our cluster. So what it is doing now, if we come back over and see in the portal here in the Azure portal, okay, this should be changed to created. Okay, so this AKS cluster is now available. If we come over to Tanzu Mission Control, refresh, we will see our AKS cluster is now pending being attached. And so what you can see it's doing is it's going to take several minutes, between 5-10 minutes, sometimes less, to install its agents. And that pretty much does it for this video. We don't have to come back when this is done. In our next video, we will begin installing the tap components.